Hi and welcome to Python tutorial of pharmacy management system. Okay, let me start by entering my username and let's enter a password. There's been a mistake there we go. Nope. Okay, supposing we enter different password and change our mind, we can always reset, and if you want you can exit. The choice is yours. If you exit there. Okay, let's restart it again. There we go. Now supposing we enter the correct login details and enter our password and click on login. There we go. You see these two buttons are now enabled, so you can always go straight into the patient's registration system, which is right here. Okay, and you can enter patient details in there. Let's say the patient happens to be Ali. Maybe Ali. And address, postcode, and telephone number of Ali, driving license, and there. Okay, we can add all of Ali's information straight onto our system right there. And actually this very program is on YouTube, which I will show to you. Okay, that is about Ali. We can exit, or go back to the hospital management system, select whatever medication you want and just populate that there. Get that populated, and you can also populate your database system there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to take you guys straight into Python development environment, and we will put one of these together. So let's go to File, New. Okay, let's close all of these. We don't need them anymore. There, and let's start a new project. Okay, I'm going to start by importing the following. Let's say TK, import it all there, and import as follows. Okay, the next thing we want to import, okay, the next thing is let's define a function, and this function is going to be called main there. And right there I'm going to say root equals TK. Okay, then let's define my app. Let's say app equals window1, just like I did in my login system. I call that window number 1. In this case I'm going to be having 3 windows. It's root there. Now I'm going to round it up. Let's just close the whole system. So right underneath here you end up and say if, let's do it properly, if space underscore name underscore equals, okay, and underscore main and close that column, and let's say main there. Okay, I'm going to have to save it now. Let's come into file and just give it a name. Let's go to my desktop where I have everything. So I'm going to save it as pharmacy. here. Let's call it pi underscore pharmacy, something like that is fine. Okay, the next thing I want to do now, since all this has been entered, let's create a class, and this class I'm going to call it window 1. There we go. So for my window 1, enter a column, and okay, let me define the following function. So I'm going to say initialize as follows. So let's make that self, comma, master, and column, and it's going to be known as, let's just say self.master. Copy that and just change this to dot master, and that will be equals master. That's what I'm going to call it. So the next thing I want to do now is right here, I'm going to give it a title, self.master.title, and that will be pharmacy management systems. Right, that would be the name of my, that will be the title, and close that as well. Now the next thing is, let's say self.geometry, and that is to define the size of my application. Self.geometry, and I'm going to make that 1350 multiplied by 750 plus 0 plus 0. The plus 0 plus 0, that is the coordinate starting from here. Now the next thing is self.frame. Let's create a frame, so I'm just going to call it frame as well, and this frame equals frame, widget frame, and inside widget frame is going to be self.master. Alright, so let's say self.frame, and let's park that, get that out of the way. Dot. Right, so I've officially created my first window. So if you want to verify that, let's run it, and you see that that's my first window created. Okay, so if you want to create a second window, you can just copy this, just copy all of that, provided you don't want to carry out any other changes, and right there paste that. That is my second window. I'm going to make that number 2, and right below it I'm going to have window number 3. This is number 3. So this one is going to be the pharmacy management system, and I'm just going to call this registration system. Or we can just change that to patient's registration system. Right, and finally this one we can just call this maybe hospital management system. Right, those are my 3 windows created. Okay, to be able to view these 3 windows that I've created, because if I run it, you will only be able to see just one. You won't have access to the other 2. But to be able to have access to them, I will declare a function. Let's say function, I'm going to call that window, let's say window app. Okay, let's just say new underscore window. Alright, right, equals self, and this very window is going to be inside this new variable, new window. Let's make that uppercase. New window equals top level. All right, and that will be inside self dot master. There we go. Self dot up, and that is going to be my window number 2. This very one here, window number 2. That's what I want you to call. And inside window number 2, the name is self dot new window. Right, that is, this function will be called. So let me copy that same function and take it down. So that is for my second window. I can just call it, okay, if this is registration window. So let's give it a proper name. This will be for registration. So we call that registration window. Paste that there. Why we call this hospital window? Where is it? Hospital window. Let's come in here. There. And the hospital window is window number 3. That is it. Okay, to confirm that these windows work, I'm going to add a button here just to call both windows. Let's say BTN, or that will be, let's call it BTN registration. BTN registration equals button, and this button would be inside self.frame. Okay, and I would like you to call self dot registration frame, this very one, registration window, and just close that. That will be the very first one. That will be my very first window. This is just to check to make sure it's working. That's a dot grid equals row equals 0, and the column equals 0. There. Let's copy that and move that around for the second one. This is just to try to check to make sure it's working, and the second one is hospital window. Copy that and paste this here. Now if it works as we want, we can then modify it, get it modified. Get rid of that and get rid of these two, and there should be self there, else it will not be recognized. Okay, all right, let's change this to column 1, and let me enter text, and then let's say text equals registration. That should be patient's registration on that very button. And comma right there. That's the first one, and the second one, let's enter another text on it here and just paste that in there. That's hospital management system. I think that's the name. Yeah. Copy that and come right there, paste that there. So let's run it, and just to confirm that those two Windows are working as expected. There we go. Now this is pharmacy management system. Click on patient's registration. That's the patient's registration system is there. So that is there. Now click on hospital. That is hospital management system. So all of the windows are working as we want. Okay, now that we're satisfied that the windows are working, so let's tidy up. Then we can then call the various programs, and here are the programs that I would like to call on my YouTube channel. Let me show it to you guys. I would like to call the following. I would like to call hospital management system, and I will also like to call member registration system. I will change that to patient's registration system. So you can see those two videos on my YouTube channel, and you guys can study that, add that to your own main program. So I'm going to close that. Okay, now to start with, we need to create a login details, because we don't want the end user to gain access to these. Okay, you should have a login, the username and the password, to be able to gain access to this. So we will have to disable these two buttons. So first thing I will do here, I'm going to add, let's move this down. I'm going to add the title, and this title is right inside this frame. Okay, it's called pharmacy management system. So if I run it, that title should be displayed on my system, but I need to move these two buttons down. That's no problem, because those two buttons are now going to be inside a frame. So let's start by creating a frame. So I will speed that up and just there. Those are the frames that I'm going to be using from here down here. Those are my frame. So there's going to be 3 layers. So that's frame login 1, 2, and 3. So let's change this to just ordinary frame instead of, if you want, you can use a label. Okay, all right, I'll get rid of that and just get rid of this as well. I'll move this here and move this as well. Since it's now an ordinary frame, we don't need the font anymore. And this, get rid of that as well. Yeah, those are my frames. Although you won't be able to see these frames, but we can always, let me just define the size so that you guys can see the frame. I can always get rid of that. So I'm going to copy this and just paste it in here. Paste that so that you guys can just see the shape of the frame. So let's start with 0, 0. Okay, that's the next one below, and followed by this variable. Oh, that is, yeah, that's the login. That's the title. Frame 1, 2, and 3. And these two, I actually want them inside frame 3. So let's come in here and paste this in here. Why the other login details will be inside frame 1 and 2. So this should actually be self.frame. Let's copy self and paste it there. Right. Those are for the buttons. Let's see. Okay. The framework is there. Now let's reduce 1 or 2 things. So instead of 600, I'm going to change this to maybe about 300, and this one will be 100. Why this will be 200? let's say about 10 or maybe 2. Let's make it 2 so that you can see all of the frames. So let's run it and see. There we go, it's coming up now. So we need to move this up and move this up a little bit more. Alright, let's come here and change this to about 20. So that should give us more room. There we go, guys. Now we're getting somewhere. Alright, so now in here I'm going to enter text box, label and text widget, and 3 buttons here. Okay, now let's copy these buttons and paste it right there. So I'm going to change these to btn log. That's for my first buttons, and this is btn reset. There. Okay, one more. That will be btn exit. btn exit. Okay, now let's rearrange the whole button. That's 0 0. This one will be 1 and this one will be 2. There, and they are all resident right inside frame 2. So login frame 2, change that to that, right, and this is going to be known as exit. This is called reset. Why we call this login. Right, we need to do something with the width, so I'm going to copy this and just change the width around. And make that maybe 20. Okay, what about the font? We can increase the font size. Let's say font now equals, that will be Arial, comma, let's say 20, comma, I'll make that bold, close that. Let's just copy that and paste it for the rest buttons, all of the buttons in fact. Come right down here, and these first buttons as well. Right, okay, now let's run it and see how it's going to look like. Alright, you see that, guys? So what is left for us to do now is I'm going to have to disable these 2 buttons. Only when you enter the right login details will you be able to see that very button. Alright, so let's come down and just take care of the button states. So in there, these buttons should have a state, and that is going to be state equals, that will be disabled. Right, that is for that. Only when you get the login details right will you be able to enable it. So let's run it and see again what's going to happen. There we go, it's all disabled now. Okay, if you get this right you'll be able to log in. Now let's create the text widget. So right up here, just below the frames, here are the frames. I'm going to create my text widget. Let's put a break so that I know what I'm doing. Okay, that is going to be for buttons. Alright, this is another button here. Okay. Alright, text widget in here. The very first one is going to be a label. So I'm going to copy this label, paste it in there, and this is going to be known as password. Let's say LDL, no, username. That is the name of that very label. Copy that and change this to username. An LBL username is going to be inside frame number 1, login frame 1. And the text content on it is username. There we go. Let's reduce that to maybe 30 for now. Right. I'm going to need two of those. Another one is going to be known as password. There we go. Password is right there. Let's enter password. LBL password. Okay, let's change that to password as well. Let's come in here, and this will be password, like I said. Now I'm going to have to create two. Undo that. We're going to have to create two text field. They are known as entry. So create another one here, and let's change this to, I'm going to change that to txt, and this one will be txt as well. So here is actually called entries. Right, that is done. And repeat the same thing for this one, entry, and change this to txt, and this as well. Those are the right, and they're going to be right in here. Yeah, that is fine. So this one will be 0 0, that's 0 1, and this one will be row 1 column 0, row 1 column 1. Now before I proceed, let me get this sorted. Right up here I'm going to enter variables, two variables. So that's going to be equals string variable. So that is my first variable, is known as username, and the second one is going to be self.password equals string variable as well. So those two variables are created, and inside the text box we're going to have to call those two variables. Now to call the very first one here, user, inside user I'm going to enter there, let's say comma text variable equals user, and the other one is going to be password. Yeah, right there, password. No, it's meant to be self.password, and there's self missing here as well. Right, those are our variables in place. Okay, before we run it, let's check one or two things. Here is supposed to be log, self.log, and self.log here as well. Right, just press enter here. Okay, let's get rid of this. We don't need this for now. Let's get rid of this as well. I don't think we need it in there on the label as well. So let's come straight to the label, get rid of that, and here as well. I think we are almost there. So let's have a look at it and just go to run before we. Okay, that's good. No, we need to change this one to password. Let's go back in there and come back in here. This should not have that. Get rid of that. Yeah, and this should be password. Right, we don't need text in here as well. Get rid of that as well. And I think that will be all for now. So let's run it and see. Okay, that's fine for now. So I will call it the end of the first part of this tutorial, and I'll see you guys shortly.